He said that after qualifying. He's so happy with the way things went, and let's see what he can make of it. 17 laps of Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup action. And away they go. Capuchin gets it rolling well. Carter Thompson a little better. In fact, it's Carter Thompson that takes up the lead. But the 51 is there. It is our man Brian Uriarte who leads into the first corner. And you can see that dry line forming.
And a few riders getting pushed wide there. But it was the number 7 of Beñat Fernandez taken off. A fifth on the grid, and the rider is down in the background. Beñat Fernandez up into second place. How about that? It's Mountain Dew's gone down. That's a disaster for his race-winning chances or anything like that. Big shame for Sully.
You ruined it. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
Right, we'll keep stopping. Right, 51 it is. Brian Uriarte that leads then. And let's just see what he can make of this. He's a thinking man here. I think he's got the intelligence. And there's number 5 of Ramos. Well. I cursed him then, didn't I?
Yeah, oh, goodness me. We're just not going to mention anybody. We're going to check out, turn our microphones off, and there we go. Morelli just going past him then, having started from pit lane. Uriarte, though, off like a scolded cat. So there we have Uriarte, Beñat Fernandez, Carter Thompson. It's your double winner from Mugello. It's Vader Pratama up there into 4th position. Now nearly 3rd as well. The 11 of David Gonzalez just behind him.
But look at Brian Uriarte. Absolutely superb stuff here. He really is feeling his way absolutely brilliantly at the moment. 17 laps of Rookies Cup action, and Brian is going to try and make it his own.
The 13 up from 13th on the grid to 8th position. We have Hakim Danish battling with the Indonesian rider, or is Guillaume Plonk? I think it is. Actually, that he's battling with in the background. Yes, Plonk's just overtaken him. We've got Ramadeepa, the number 32, now going up the inside of Singapore. There with his Age of Talent Cup compatriots out of the final corner. They come to complete that one.
And Brian, head down then, 16 laps remaining. Carter Thompson in 2nd place, head down, trying to reason just how Brian is making this work so well for him. The track is drying out.
Terrible start for Christian Daniel Jr. The American down into 17th spot now behind Lucas Brown, the Brit. Molignane up into 15th as well ahead of them. So we're well spread out already, Peter.
And I saw Vader Pratama make a move there. I think he's up into 4th place. He doesn't want to see Brian disappear over the horizon.
So if there is a drying line forming then, Peter, are we going to see a big load of tyre wear towards the end of the race?
Yeah, we could indeed. I think what we'll see even early on is people like Brian who know what they're doing. They're moving over and using the wet part of the track when they don't need the ultimate grip. But of course, down through this left-hander, it's wet all over the place, and they do need the grip. So it'll be a few laps before that becomes crucial, but it certainly will factor into it. There is the number 7 of Beñat Fernandez in 3rd place. Carter Thompson chasing after Brian Uriarte ahead of him.
Some huge gaps in the lap times from just that first lap around, actually, Peter, already. You can really see the difference with riders that are naturally confident in the wet and the ones that need to build into it. They come thundering down the waterfall now. Thompson chasing Uriarte, Beñat Fernandez falling back with Pratama.
Apparently, Brian was overconfident last weekend in the wet. He set off, had about a 3-second lead and fell off on the 1st or 2nd lap.
He did. He stacked it in one of the slowest corners, the silly Billy, I would call him, after that one. But hopefully he learns from that this time around. Right,
out onto the start and finish to complete lap 2. Carter Thompson's certainly going after Brian Uriarte. And Beñat Fernandez is towing the rest of the guys behind him. Vader Pratama is there as well. But it's up to Carter Thompson to chase Brian Uriarte.
The benchmark is a 1:40 lap time. That's what the leading duo was setting that time around. A lot of others who are a bit more competitive setting 1:41s. Then the chasing group after that, 1:42s basically. If you're in the 1:43s, you ain't doing anything towards the podiums in this race.
Right, and Vader Pratama made the big overtaking move at the first corner, round wide, but he has made it stick now. I think he's up into 3rd place and going after Carter Thompson. He's relegated Beñat Fernandez to 4th. On the number 7.
Imagine Pratama just going to be feeling his way into it, isn't he? More than used to crazy wet conditions like this from his times growing up in Indonesia and also in the Age of Talent Cup. They love a wet race or two. Over there, you can see that dry line getting thicker and wider every time we come around then. This will be very interesting to see how this race changes. 15 laps, even with the short lap time around here, is a long way to go.
It is. 32 is Kiandra Ramadeepa, the other Indonesian here. There he has got past Beñat Fernandez. Down off the waterfall, and Brian is being closed upon by Carter Thompson. Superb stuff from the Australian.
Carter really want to make amends after a luckless Mugello, and it really was that. He got punted wide at the final corner, effectively crashed, and then seemingly had a mechanical issue in the second race as well. A rarity in Rookies Cup. Brian takes a look behind him, sees the big number 50 on his head, and on either side of the front fairing, you've got company, Brian.
He has, and I think, I may be wrong, Matt, but I think he actually got somebody hit him and broke the clutch lever, I think, actually. That's what happened to Carter Thompson. I think that's what it was.
A mechanical failure caused by another rider.
Yeah, caused by another rider, but as you say, equally luckless anyway, nothing to do with him. The number 7 of Beñat Fernandez going down the hill, chasing after Vader Pratama.
Fastest rider on track last round. You know what, he was doing rather well in dry conditions as well here so far this weekend. And if you look through practices, actually, Peter, the times from there, you do see quite a few different names that we're used to seeing up towards the sharp end. This sort of track is so different in its nature, whether it's wet or dry, isn't it, compared to other ones you go to?
Yeah, it is. It's all, as you say, mentioned before, you know, all these corners that run together. The left-handers, we're coming towards the end of the left-hand of this climb here, and it's a lot steeper climb than you can see on the TV screen there, and then you go over the top of the hill here, still holding the same gear, flick it right and go down, and there goes Carter Thompson. That's a brave move. That is a very brave move.
What an overtake that is, but has he made it stick? Perhaps not. Uriarte kept it pinned, tries to go out the inside, but no. So we have a new leader then. It's Carter Thompson, the number 50. This is brilliant stuff from the Aussie.
And it's a good time to overtake. Don't hang about, because as a dry line forms, it actually makes overtaking more difficult, because you've got to go off that dry line to get past people. So as a dry line forms, you can stick to it and make the life of the guy behind you very difficult indeed.
They cross the line then. It's Thompson from Uriarte, Pratama, Ramadipa, Indonesia, 3rd and 4th, and that's pretty special. Zen Mitani from the back of the grid though, Peter, up to 11th place. That's very impressive from the Japanese rider.
Superb stuff, absolutely brilliant. So let's see. I wonder, what do you think Brian's thoughts are going to be now? Is he going to pass back as soon as he can, or is he going to sit there? I saw him look over his shoulder and see just how far the others are behind. Mitani, as you say, Matt, he's the quickest man on track at the moment.
I think he's got to keep an eye on his pit board, hasn't he, or see what the gap is to the riders behind him. If they start to close, he's going to need to make a move and get back past Thompson. But for now, they are still 1.4 seconds back. They're going to cross the second intermediate now, and the other riders, they're 1.4 again, if a little bit further back as well. So I think he can stick there for now, can't he?
It'd be interesting to see what the gap now is between Vader Pratama and the leading duo. At the moment, it's 1.5 seconds. Oh, and a big slide for Brian Uriarte. That's a warning shot.
He even set off his airbag, actually. You know what I think it might have done? He's looking a bit more, I'm going to say plump.
Bit chunky.
He's been eating all the pies.
Well, of course, these Alpine Stars Tech Air suits are absolutely superb. But of course, you know, if the Tech Air suit decides that you're falling off, and there's somebody way off, Singapong off on the black stuff there. Was it actually Hakim Danish? I'm not sure. There's Hakim Danish, number 13. And he is down in 9th place. But say the airbag can go off, of course, the Tech Air suit, but it then deflates itself, and you've got a second canister. So, you know, you don't have to pull in or whatever, retire or anything. You've still got the reserve canister that will look after you.
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether he did or not. He could have just been riding with a bit more of an elbows out riding style, maybe a bit bent speeds, I'm not sure, but certainly looked up. I'm sure we can ask him after the race, as we do have a changeover for 3rd place. Ramadipa, the rider who actually won the European Talent Cup race last weekend, he will find himself in 3rd position now, fighting for the podium then. First one in Rookies Cup.
Ahead of the Mugello double winner, Vader Pratama, on the 54. So let's see, at the moment they haven't closed the gap. But equally it hasn't really grown either. So interesting to see now that Ramadipa has taken up 3rd spot. Can he close the gap on Thompson and Uriarte? In fact, it does look as though they are.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they once they come down the waterfall just through turn 11. We'll get the next intermediate split. It was actually 0.8 of a second at the last one. Yeah. So what is it going to be now? It's visibly closer, isn't it?
Yeah, they are closing. They are closing. Superb stuff.
8-10 tenths of a second now. So Indonesia well on the hunt. They had a double winner in Rookies Cup last time out. Will they have yet another? Are the Indonesians going to be dominating the Cup from here on in? Of course, we do have just 3 rounds left, 6 races left in 2025. You've got to back all the points you can get. How about that? Up 9 places is Ramadipa from the start of the race, Peter.
Superb stuff. And of course, as I said, Brian Uriarte had a big slide. That was a warning. So he knows that he's pushing the limits, but he's having a look up the inside of Carter Thompson there into the first right-hander. Backs out of it, and they are being caught by Ramadipa and Pratama.
They were 7/10ths of a second quicker last time around than the others, so they well and truly are closing in. As we look a bit further down the order, then you've got Gonzalez in 5th place, Plonk in 6th, Beñat Fernandez 7th place, Singapore 8th, Danish, your series leader, in 9th at the moment. I think if he's not feeling too sure about things, that's probably a good enough finish, given his how much he's got in hand.
Right, and now these Pirellis are superb in the feel that they give the riders, and that's why they're able to put on the green stuff.
Limits there, right?
Yeah. But that's why they're able to push the limits so well. The Pirellis do give superb feel, but of course that will, things will change as they get worn, as the track dries, and the tyres start to move around a bit more and make things feel a bit more horrible, even if they are still offering good grip.
Beñat Fernandez quite wide there. The entry is Danish closing in on Singapore down there, so he's finding his groove a bit. Do you think this is sort of what happens? He's feeling really nervous at lunch, but once he gets into the groove out on track, he knows his conditions really well, doesn't he? Those nerves start to fade, perhaps?
Well, let's hope so. There's still 10 laps and a couple of corners to go, but they've been caught, haven't they, Matt?
Uriarte up the front then. He is out front. I do think maybe his airbag did go off and he's just been a bit more elbows out. So there we go. He is leading the way. Takes the strip off the radiator. Thompson fighting still for 2nd spot with Ramadipa. That dry line well and truly formed in the braking zone now. Pratama just off the back of them. Closing in as well, watching what everybody's doing. He knows how to pick their pocket in the closing stages. Brian trying to make a break for it.
And this is a brave move from Brian. He's already had the one warning of a big slide. He knows he's pushing the limit, but he also feels that he's got to get away from these guys. He doesn't want it to be a 4-man battle over the last couple of laps.
Tell you one rider I thought was going to be a bit of a heavier feature in this race. Your pole position sitter can't push it down in 14th place, battling just for points now, unfortunately for him. He'll be praying for a dry race at the end of play tomorrow. And
Keandra Ramadipa relegates Carter Thompson to 3rd place, and he's got his sights set on Brian Uriarte at front. And you're on board now with Uriarte, looking back at the 32. You're under pressure. Can he get up the inside? No. Brian closes the door.
Yeah, absolutely slams it shut. A little bit of a twitch there as he comes out of that corner, flicks it right into the waterfall, plunges down it. You cannot believe how steep it is here. When something's so steep when you're walking down it, you can't help but start a little jog. That's how steep that is.
Going down the hill, yeah. And Brian still has the advantage, but it's nothing now, is it, to the 32 of Ramadipa. Ramadipa goes up the inside, but he's got on the wet patch. You see, the dry line offered more grip to Brian. He could brake a little bit later, and Ramadipa had to back out of it.
This is absolutely quality, a dead heat over the line, it looks. Wow, yeah, it was Uriarte, 12 thousandths of a second separating the two of them. That time around, we have a 4-way fight for the lead, or do we, Peter? Because Gonzalez set a lap there 1 second quicker than the leaders. So Gonzalez bringing Plonk with him. Could we have a real race of 2 halves with 9 laps to go? It's 4 fighting for the front at the moment. Could it be 6 come the end of it?
Yeah, as you say, these guys up front, they've just been so tricky because of the dry line in some places. They want to overtake. They get in the way of each other a little bit. They, who's going to go on the wet stuff? Who needs to take the dry? And that's really giving it. And we've got another. Oh dear, that is the end of Marco Morelli's race. He was nowhere either. He started from the pit lane.
It looks like he just ran on, to be honest.
Yeah, and I noticed before he was right down the back of the field too, not having fun at all. You're looking back at the 54 of Veda Pratama.
Carter Thompson went well wide there at the bottom of the hill there, unfortunately. So that is going to give him a bit less of an advantage. Ramadipa, though, looking quite strong at the moment. Thompson very wide. Is he just trying to keep to the wetter part?
He could, you know, he's already thinking in those terms. Yeah, it is really a broad, dry line down here, and certainly with you know, 8 laps and a few corners to go, these tyres are going to be past their best very soon. It's still the advantage to Kianda Ramadipa on the 32, Brian Uriarte in 54, just ahead of the 54 of Breda Patama in 3rd place, behind Brian Uriarte. Out onto the start and finish to complete another lap. Just 8 remaining.
Over the line we go then. So there we have Patama side by side with Uriarte. That is as close as you like, and pushes him wide. Patama, he loves to get his elbows out, doesn't he? Absolutely quality. Just blockbuster this lot, aren't they? So it is then, Peter, Indonesia 1 and 2.
We haven't said that before, I don't think, in Rookies Cup.
All since the beginning of Rookies Cup for 1 to get a victory, 2 come along in Mugello. Could it be a 3rd in a row, but with a different rider here today? They must be on their feet. It will make front page news if they were to get a 1-2 here.
The social channels would go absolutely mad, won't they? Absolutely mad. Fantastic stuff. And he's pulling away. Ramadipa's pulling away. Now, Vader knows that he's got to stick with him here because it's he's pulling out sort of a couple of meters every corner at the moment. Up the hill they go. Is there anything that Vader can do about it now that he's up into a clear 2nd place?
Slump up the inside of Carter Thompson. Are his tyres starting to fade, the Aussie, or is he just flailing with the competition out there? Not too sure. We'll have to ask him after the race, because it looks like the pace is slowing compared to what it was, so it could just be that tyre wear really coming in now, Peter.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the dry line is forming, so the track is getting faster, but the tyres are getting slower. Right, so it is the 32 of Ramadipa now. We'll see what the gap is. It was 3/10 to go over the start and finish line. Now it's now 6, nearly 7/10. So, oh, and look at, you can see the bike moving around now as that tyre wear affects the stability as well. You know, it looks worse than it is. It's not making the bikes unstable at all, but it just, you know, you can see it moving around. The carcass is getting very, very warm, and they really should be looking for the cool, wet patches of tarmac.
Dinesh up to 7th place now, ahead of Singapore and Beñat Fernandez. Zen Mitani up to 10th place from the back of the grid. A really impressive ride from him. Lucas Brown, the British rider, he's going to take away a point if he stays there over the next 7 laps or so in 15th.
And Ramadipa moving around big time as he came over the hill there and down. Those tyres certainly getting up to a very serious temperature now.
Tell you what, Guillaume Plonk absolutely on a roll here, whether it's wet or dry. He's really enjoying the Sachsenring at the moment. You're seeing him heading towards the podium spots. His pace is certainly running with the leaders. He's pulling away from Thompson. David Gonzalez not far behind Thompson as well in 6th position. Could be 5th soon enough.
And Hakim Danish is running in 7th place, and that's very useful. He's got a handy points lead. He really doesn't need to do anything silly here, especially with Brian Uriarte not leading this. He's back in 3rd place.
There he is, just in the middle of our screens, ahead of Singapore. Thai rider, and going neck and neck through towards the final corner. Singapore looking behind him. He's going to see Zen Mitani right there. Zen could find himself actually in 7th spot if Dinesh isn't careful.
As you said, the Japanese, along with the Indonesians and the Thais, know all about riding in the wet, and Zen showing what you say to be absolutely true at the moment as they go through with 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, you got Dinesh just outbreaking the guys there in towards turn 1, going a bit wide, but how wide is he? Just cutting a different line. I think he'll find himself on the inside in towards turn 2. Very nicely done from Hakim.
And Planck, the fastest man on the track that time.
It's a real game of high-speed chess, this, Peter. It's not the ferocity that we're used to in Rookies Cup, is it? It really just is a to and fro, to me, to you, Barry and Paul Chuckle kind of deal with some of them.
Yeah, and everybody looking for the damp patches now. It's completely dry there as they tip it left and go down and onto a damp part of tarmac, but even that is drying out very quickly. For the last 3 or 4 laps, it's going to be dry almost all the way around here. There is the 13 of Cup points leader, Hakim Danish.
I tell you what, though, Plonk just set the fastest lap of the whole race so far. So even with sort of the tyre wear, he is looking extremely strong as Dinesh just cuts across the front of the noses of Sen Mitani and Kyatsiak Singapong there. Mike Yu, impressive stuff, as is Brian Uriarte into the penultimate corner. Goodness me, that was good.
The way he went past Vader Panama, the double winner from Mugello, is absolutely superb. But there is the 24 of Guillaume Planck.
He is looking for his first podium in Rookies Cup. The Frenchman absolutely on one here. What's his lap time going to be as they cross the line? Ramadipa's got a second advantage that time around. Planck a 140.5. Goodness me, he could win this thing.
That's right. I mean, he's setting the quick lap times. Even as he passes other guys, it will have cost him as he went offline to pass Vader Patama, and he's now got to deal with Brian Uriarte, but he has to do that because there's only 4.5 laps remaining.
Something happened to Dinesh that time around, Peter, because he's been pushed all the way back to 10th spot now. So there we have it. It is all changed in the closing stages of this race. And
he's got to keep it upright, Hakim. He just needs a few points here. He doesn't need to do anything silly at all. And you're looking back from Brian Uriarte at the 24 of the 17-year-old Frenchman, Guillaume Planck.
Planck could be doing Dinesh a big favour here and keeping Uriarte at bay. But if it carries on like this as well, they've got to be careful of Vader Patama too. He can still pick up a couple of spots, but how much have they used their tyres? One rider who is just in the zone. You got to hand it to him. Ramadipa out front with a second's gap still, Peter. What a ride this is from our first-year Indonesian rider.
And Guillaume's really got to keep the ball rolling here. He's got to keep that momentum. He needs to get past Brian Uriarte. He's not Brian, of course, not an easy man to pass. A superb rider. He's not close enough to do it at the moment. In fact, he's run a little bit wide. Can he get closer to him going into the last corner? Brian uses all the road. It's absolutely bone dry where they are at the moment. No, he hasn't done it.
No, certainly not. Well then, as they cross the line, it will be 4 laps to go. Normally at this point, things are getting hectic with a big old group, but no, it is the high-speed game of chess. Away we go then. Personal best lap that time around for Uriarte, 140.7. He's really turned a screw. He wants to keep Planck at bay. The victory might have gone. He's relying on a mistake from Kiandra Ramadipa to have any hopes of a win, or is he? Has he kept something in his pocket?
Oh,
no, maybe.
There's nothing left in the pocket there.
Yeah, that was it. That was absolutely on the limit, wasn't it? Brian's trying.
Absolutely everything. Anyway, he's got a second to make up on Ramadipa, but he is absolutely trying everything. Brian Uriarte will have seen that slide as well as they go downhill. Will Brian hang on to second, or is Guillaume going to go past him?
In terms of the championship, Dinesh is out of any sort of running for anything better than 10th. He's 2 seconds adrift from Fernandez in 9th now, 7 ahead of Christian Daniel Jr. So he's just got to sit there now and bring it home, has the Malaysian.
Right, you're on board with Brian Uriarte, looking back at the Frenchman on the 24. Over the top of the hill and right, the gap is still just...
Wowee, nearly 3 abreast through the waterfall. That's Rookies Cup at its best, but Uriarte was by far the bravest through turn 11 that time around. You can't just pull out a couple of tenths gap through one singular corner without supreme bravery through there. The 51 is just blockbuster. And of course, he might be a Spanish rider, but he is from the north coast of Spain in Santander. So he's more than used to a chilly Atlantic winter and a few raindrops here and there, isn't he?
And Vader Patama had a good look at trying to get past Guillaume Planck, but couldn't do it as they go across with just 3 laps remaining, 1.4 now, so it's 4 tenths bigger than it was a lap before.
So it could well be wrapped up for Ramadipa so long as he keeps it rubber side down in the closing stages. I hope I don't jinx it, but Brian's doing his absolute best to keep Planck at bay.
Yeah,
the wide lines they're taking there, Peter.
That's right. What's his thinking now? Is he still going after Ramadipa, or is he thinking to hold back Planck and Pratama?
Surely holding back Planck and Pratama. You can see the fishtailing going on there down the start and finish straight. Ramadipa, this is, well, he knows how to do the business in the European Talent Cup. He's learning how to do it in the Red Bull Rookies Cup as well now. It could be 3 wins on the bounce for Indonesia, ladies and gents. It'll be front page news with a different face on the front cover.
And you can see the big puck there that the guys run in the wet. It just, it's thicker than the puck that they run on their knees in the dry, so that they're not leaning over quite as far before they feel the track whiffling past them underneath their knees.
Down the waterfall they come. The dry line well and truly formed. Not sure how much Plonk and Pratama have got for Uriarte in these closing stages.
Just 2 laps remaining as they cross the line. This time 1 corner and then 2 laps. And Brian there in 2nd place, but he has got Plonk and he doesn't get a great drive there, did he? He does not get a great drive. So he's got Plonk right on his tail now, and Plonk has got a superb slipstream. Vader's picking up the slipstream of both of them. Who's going to fan out? It's a wide, dry line going into the corner now, but none of them are brave enough to stick it up the inside of Brian Uriarte, and now it's damp as they swing left-handed and go down the hill.
I do wonder what Vader's thinking at this point, Peter. The 54, we know how crafty and clever he is as well. Is he biding his time, waiting? Is he on the limit? Is he going to settle the fourth? I doubt that very much. But what is he playing at the moment? I'm just not sure.
And the gap hasn't increased really on that. It's 1.3, you know, it's about the same as it was the previous lap. But there's only 2 laps remaining, a lap and a half really now, as you're on board with Brian Uriarte plunging down the hill.
Yeah, Uriarte just had a little bit left. Blimey, he's closed in again, Peter, by 0.4 of a second. He can sniff a victory here. You can tell, can't you? It's going to be a lap and a half left. And Uriarte is on the chase.
He's the man to do it. He's had a couple of nasty slides, but as you say, Matt, it's visibly, you don't need the gap there, do you? It's well less than that 0.774 on screen. And Vader Pratama going past. Oh, Guillaume Plonk there. He can see what's happening ahead of him, but Plonk
straight back at him. Guillaume, well done.
But you can see as they flashed out of the screen, just how Uriarte is right on the tail of Ramadippa. They're going to go through now to start the last lap. And the battle for first, the battle for third.
It's going to be neck and neck. So it is Ramadippa versus Uriarte. Who's your money on as they cross the line? 1 lap to go in Rookies Cup here in Germany. Pratama, it's Indonesia, 1 and 3 at the moment. Will it be 1-2? Who knows?
Brian goes for the late break. Ramadippa goes late. Is he going to run wide? He cuts across Brian's nose absolutely superbly. That
back of Ramadippa coming into the final 2 turns, Peter.
And surely he's going to try it on the brakes. He's not going to wait the last. He goes alongside him. He's going on the brakes.
Wow.
Late. It's a dry line through here. He can't afford to let it run wide too. Then it's just the last corner, and it's Brian Uriarte who has the advantage on the black stuff. That's okay. Who can go up the inside? No, Brian, surely. If he gets a good drive, he's had a lousy drive a couple of times, but he's only got to keep it safe now. He's going to take this one. Brian Uriarte, it is. He wins in the Sachsenring.
Wow, what a win that was. Look at that for a wheelie as well. Brian, well done. That's even better. What a victory that was for the 51. A stand-up wheelie ahead of Ramadippa, and Plonk got third ahead of Pratama. But look at this, Peter. Danish comes across the line, 10th position he will have. Only just, oh goodness me, what a steady final lap that was, as Agostinelli is going to be behind him.
That was superb, wasn't it? I mean, I said that Vader, you know, was looking at winning this, and he ended up 4th.
And how important was that for Brian Uriarte, Peter? 13 points the gap now then ahead of Danish. The points could swing back almost in favour of Uriarte. Goodness me.
To me, that was an incredible ride, because he had, he had some big slides there. There'll be every reason to say, ooh, I'll back it off a bit and I'll just take a podium here, but no.
Determination and tenacity. That was Brian Uriarte today, but Kianja Ramadippa gotta be delighted with that. Indonesia on the podium once again, but it's a different name. Yet another star from Southeast Asia.
Yeah, absolutely. Superb stuff from Kianja Ramadippa. The way he fought his way through there to take the lead, absolutely brilliant, and he is very happy indeed. I'm sure when he, replays that race, he'll think, oh, maybe I should have done that on the last lap or this on the last lap. But what a great ride. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
And what about the Frenchman? Guillaume Plonk, 3rd position. Wowee. Great stuff from him.
And I really hope that is a breakthrough ride for Guillaume, as as well as it is for Ramaddeepa. Breakthrough ride for both of them, that we see them, you know, at the front now, wet and dry, because these guys are tremendously talented, and you need a ride like that just to prove to yourself that you can do it.
Well, this was Uriarte then going up the inside of, or trying to go up the inside of Ramaddeepa.
And look how close Vader Pitama is there. You know, as I said, he was looking at winning this one. But when it came down the hill, by the time they got down the hill, there's Gwilym going past Vader in the background, and Brian goes up the inside of Ramaddeepa in the foreground.
There they go, out of the final corner, across the line. It was close at the end, wasn't it, as well, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely superb. And of course, the finish line isn't where the start line is here.
Look at that. Wow. Tell you what, John Hopkins would be proud of that. Oh, one-handed as well.
Yeah, I know.
Go on.
The technical crew don't like it when you do that.
Brian doesn't care one bit. Yeah, legend. Great, that was...
Zen
well,
Mitali, a great fifth, eh?
Oh, wow, what a ride from the back of the grid for Zen.
Yeah.
Thompson, 6th in the end, good stuff from him. And Beñat Fernandez, 7th as well. Another great ride from him. He clearly clawed it back right at the end. Funny what the riders feel more comfortable with in different conditions, isn't it? Because Beñat really fell back at the start of the race, but then at the end when the grip set his lowest, he sort of came back again.
Yeah, and it was, you know, you think how the things changed through that race. You know, it was soaking wet all the way around at the start, and there you can snap your screen there and go to watch Bourne races for when you've got time. But you know, it changed all the way through. The wet, it was soaking wet, and then it began to dry. There was an odd dry patch, and then we ended up with a dry line through almost all the track. But of course, if you ran off the circuit, you were very much in the wet stuff still. If you ran off the dry line.
Plant, though, cracks a smile. Nice to see him smile, because it's not often you see that, is it?
He's been sliding a bit more recently, and I think, you know, if it is a breakthrough ride, I hope he can do great things in the dry as well. We need, you know, a Frenchman up the front. That would be fantastic.
Well then, what a race that was in the end. A real game of proper high-speed chess. I really enjoyed that. And a good battle at the end. Very tense. And I tell you what, we have a championship on again, Peter, don't we?
We do, don't we? You know, Vader also picked up some good points there. And, you know, the guys just have so much confidence in these KTMs and the Pirelli tyres. Absolutely superb. You know, to see in those conditions, you know, everybody sort of, but for Morelli, he ran off. Ramersdorfer slid off.
Do you know what? Apart
Mounsey
from the first
got back
lap,
on. Yeah,
that was a really good ride by everybody there.
Yeah, so much confidence in these KTMs and the Pirelli tyres.
Let's hear then from Guillaume Plante, his first Rookies Cup podium, Dommy.
Conditions today. Your first spot.
I'm very happy to do my first podium. Thank you.
How are you feeling for tomorrow then?
I don't know. I think good, but I don't know. Let's see tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Well, there we have Guillaume Plante then. We didn't hear that in our ears. I hope you guys heard that at home. Maybe you didn't, who knows. But wow, look at that. So this was the final lap, and Plante gets nerfed out of the way by Pitama, who says, nah, have some of that back, chap. Thank you.
That is great, wasn't it? You know, both those spots changing hands there right in one screen. Absolutely superb.
I mean, that, fair play to it. That's determination, that, isn't it? Because, you know, quality, you can see just how talented he is there for pulling that off, can't you?
Yeah.
Next up, though, Kiandra Ramaddeepa, first podium in Rookies Cup. He almost got a win as well. How does he feel about that one, Dominica?
Rama, congratulations. I can see a lot of tears of joy here. Really, really good job. Very difficult race. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's very long race. I leading the race and I just want to finish the race. And I try to give my best. I control myself. I feel the tire is finished in the last. And I just say to myself, just don't crash. I don't care somebody overtake me, but I just control my ego and I try to finish the race. And thanks to Astra Honda Racing Team and all the Indonesian people who always support me. This is for Indonesia. I will give my best for tomorrow in the race too.
Very good job, thank you.
Yeah, well done, Kiandra Ramadipa. Absolutely brilliant. I love that. He likes that line a lot. I controlled my ego. Yes, you did, Sunshine. Yes, you did.
He did. It was superbly controlled, wasn't it? Really,
yeah.
That's above everything else. He didn't put a foot wrong. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
But someone